Hello and welcome back to Cheating Tales Lab. We're grateful for each view and comment. Tell us, from which country or city are you watching today? We enjoy connecting with our global audience. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, Foundations. Russell Mercer stared at the blueprints spread across his private office desk. At 42, he'd built quantum edge technologies from nothing into a billion-dollar empire that few knew he controlled. Most people saw only his modest demeanor and understated wardrobe, a calculated choice that kept attention away from his true wealth and power. 10 years ago, he'd met Vanessa Lombardi at a charity fundraiser. She was striking, model tall with auburn hair and ambition burning in her eyes. Their courtship had been swift and passionate. Russell had been cautious about revealing his full financial portfolio, having been burned by gold diggers before. He maintained the appearance of a moderately successful consultant, while his actual holdings were hidden behind a maze of shell companies and private trusts. "Mr. Mercer, your 2 o'clock appointment is here," his assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Send him in, Lori." Nolan Parker entered, Russell's oldest friend and the only person who knew the full extent of his empire. They'd grown up in the same blue-collar neighborhood in Detroit, both clawing their way out through sheer determination. "You still living like a middle manager while sitting on billions?" Nolan asked, dropping into the leather chair opposite Russell. Russell's lips quirked. "Vanessa still thinks I make about $200,000 a year. She's been pushing me to show more ambition lately. Meanwhile, she's climbing the corporate ladder at Pinnacle Dynamics like her life depends on it," Nolan observed, reaching for the scotch Russell kept for him. "She's up for that vice president position. The ceremony's next month." Russell's voice held no emotion. "And you'll go as the supportive husband who embarrasses her by not wearing the right watch or knowing which fork to use first." Nolan's tone was bitter. He'd never warmed to Vanessa. Russell leaned back. "She doesn't know I funded the angel investment round that saved Pinnacle Dynamics 5 years ago, or that I've been quietly acquiring shares in the company for the past 3 years. Why play this game, Russ? What's the point?" Russell's eyes hardened. "You know what happened with Diana. I needed to be sure this time." Diana, Russell's college sweetheart who'd left him the moment his first business failed, only to try crawling back when his second venture hit it big. The experience had left scars. "And are you sure about Vanessa?" Russell's phone vibrated. A notification from the security system he'd installed in their home. Motion detected in the master bedroom at 2:17 p.m. on a Wednesday, when Vanessa should have been at work. "We're about to find out," Russell said quietly. Vanessa Mercer checked her appearance in the mirror for the 3rd time. Her navy Armani suit projected exactly the image she wanted. Powerful, polished, unstoppable. At 35, she was poised to become the youngest vice president in Pinnacle Dynamics history. If only her husband matched her ambition. Russell was comfortable, predictable, and utterly lacking the killer instinct she craved. He'd never be the power player she'd hoped to marry, but he was kind, stable, and conveniently unquestioning of her late nights at the office. Her phone chimed. A text from Dominic Foster, her direct superior at Pinnacle and the man who'd been sharing her bed for the past 8 months. "My place in 30. Need to discuss your promotion before the final decision." Vanessa smiled. She'd earned this promotion, both in the boardroom and the bedroom. Dominic had taken an interest in her from her first day, his eyes lingering on her legs during meetings, finding excuses to work late with her. When he'd first suggested they discuss her career trajectory over dinner, she'd known exactly where it would lead. She replied, "On my way. Should I bring the proposal for the Thompson account?" "Just yourself. And maybe that red lingerie." Vanessa's heart raced. The affair had been intoxicating. Dominic was everything Russell wasn't. Powerful, connected, exciting. The risk only added to the thrill. She left work early, told her assistant she had a migraine, and drove to her house to change before meeting Dominic. As she slipped into the red lingerie Dominic had bought her, she never noticed the silent alert sent to her husband's phone. Chapter 2, Revelations. Russell watched the security footage for the 3rd time, his face impassive as he observed his wife entering their bedroom, changing into lingerie he'd never seen, and leaving again. The timestamp showed she'd been gone from work for over 2 hours while claiming to be in meetings. "Jesus, Russ." Nolan stood behind him, watching the monitor. "I'm sorry. Don't be." Russell's voice was devoid of emotion. "I've suspected for months. Now I have confirmation. What are you going to do?" Russell turned off the monitor. Who do we have at Pinnacle? Harold Whitney in finance. He's been on your payroll for years. And there's Pamela Strickland in HR. Tell them to dig deeper. I want to know who she's sleeping with, for how long, and what she's hoping to gain from it. Russell's fingers drummed methodically on his desk. And contact Gina. I need to make some changes to my holdings. Gina Torres had been Russell's attorney for 15 years, orchestrating his complex business deals with ruthless efficiency. Within hours, Russell had a name, Dominic Foster, Executive VP at Pinnacle Dynamics, married with 2 children and notorious for sleeping with ambitious women in the company. According to Pamela, Vanessa had been seen entering his office after hours, emerging disheveled much later. Hotel receipts, expense reports with suspicious overlaps, and text messages retrieved by Harold's IT contact painted a clear picture. Nolan studied his friend carefully. You're taking this awfully well. Did you expect me to rage? Break things? Russell asked, his voice eerily calm. That's not who I am. No, Nolan agreed. You're the guy who waits and plans until your enemies don't even see the knife coming. Russell's phone rang. Vanessa. He answered, his voice perfectly normal. Hey, how's your day going? Exhausting. These board presentations are killing me. Her lie came easily. I'll be home late again. Don't wait up. Of course. Good luck with everything. Russell hung up, his expression unchanged. What's your next move? Nolan asked. Russell pulled up a spreadsheet showing his Pinnacle Dynamics stock holdings, currently at 28%. I've been buying through shell companies for years. The current CEO, Martin Reeves, is looking to retire. He holds 23% of shares and has been discreetly shopping them around. You're going to buy the company? Nolan looked stunned. I'm going to own the company, Nolan. And neither Vanessa nor her lover will know until it's too late. Dominic Foster traced his fingers down Vanessa's bare back as she lay beside him in the hotel bed. The board meets tomorrow to finalize the VP selection, he murmured. I've been pushing hard for you. Vanessa turned to face him. And Peterson was leaning toward Lawrence for his experience, but I convinced him you're the future of Pinnacle. Dominic's hand traveled lower. You're going to get it, babe. Vanessa smiled. What about after I get the promotion? We can't keep sneaking around forever. Dominic's expression cooled slightly. One step at a time. My divorce would be complicated. I'm not talking about your divorce, Vanessa replied carefully. I'm talking about us working together openly as colleagues. Unless you're worried people will think I slept my way to the top. Dominic chuckled. Isn't that exactly what you did? The word stung, but Vanessa forced a laugh. We both know I'm the most qualified candidate. The bedroom just gave me the opportunity to prove it. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Dominic murmured, already checking his phone. Speaking of sleeping, you should go. My wife's getting suspicious. Driving home, Vanessa's elation about the promotion battled with the sour taste Dominic's words had left. But it didn't matter. Once she was VP, their power dynamic would shift. Russell was waiting up when she arrived home, despite her telling him not to. How was work? He asked mildly. Exhausting. We're finalizing the VP selections. She kicked off her heels. Any good news? His eyes tracked her movements. Nothing official yet. Vanessa gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. I'm going to shower and crash. I made dinner. It's in the fridge if you're hungry. The flash of guilt Vanessa felt was quickly suppressed. Russell was a good man, just not the man she needed to reach the heights she desired. Chapter 3. Acquisition. Over the next 4 weeks, Russell executed his plan with surgical precision. Through a network of shell companies, he quietly negotiated with Martin Reeves for his 23% stake in Pinnacle Dynamics. He's ready to sign, Gina Torres reported, sliding the paperwork across Russell's desk. But he wants to meet the buyer first. Arrange it. Private dining room at the Avalon Club, Russell instructed. And ensure the NDA is ironclad. No one knows about this until I'm ready. The meeting with Reeves went smoothly. The aging CEO was impressed with Russell's vision for the company. You're nothing like I expected, Reeves commented as they shared a scotch after signing the papers. Most tech vultures want to strip companies like mine for parts. I'm not most tech vultures, Russell replied. I see Pinnacle's potential. It just needs new management. With Reeves' shares secured, Russell now controlled 51% of the company, a fact known only to him, Gina, Nolan, and Harold Whitney at Pinnacle's finance department. What's your timeline? Nolan asked as they reviewed the finalized acquisition documents. Vanessa's VP ceremony is in 2 weeks. Martin announces his retirement the day before, and I'm introduced as the new owner immediately after. She has no idea her husband is about to become her boss. Nolan shook his head. It's almost poetic. Poetry isn't what I'm aiming for. Russell's voice had taken on a razor edge these past weeks. Revenge, then? Justice. Russell looked up from the documents. Did you get what I asked for on Dominic Foster? Nolan slid a flash drive across the desk. Everything you need to destroy him is there. Financial records, evidence of his affairs with 3 other women at the company besides Vanessa, and his backroom deals with competitors. Perfect. Russell pocketed the drive. And the VP announcement. The committee voted yesterday. Your wife got it. Announcement will be made at the ceremony. Russell's smile didn't reach his eyes. Then everything is proceeding exactly as planned. The night before her ceremony, Vanessa couldn't sleep. After years of sacrifice and strategic maneuvering, tomorrow she would officially become Vice President of Operations at Pinnacle Dynamics. She reached for her phone, tempted to text Dominic, but hesitated. Things had been strained between them lately. Once the initial thrill of their affair had faded, she'd begun to see his less appealing qualities, his selfishness, his casual cruelty, his treatment of her as a possession rather than a partner. But he delivered on his promise. She'd gotten the promotion, and her career was about to soar. Russell had surprised her by taking a genuine interest in her achievement, even buying her a designer dress for the ceremony. The thought of Russell sent a pang of guilt through her. He'd been unusually attentive lately, bringing her coffee in the morning, asking about her day, even suggesting they take a vacation once the promotion dust settled. For a moment, Vanessa wondered if she'd misjudged him. Then her phone buzzed with a text from Dominic. CEO just called an emergency meeting. Big announcement tomorrow before the ceremony. Something's happening. Vanessa's heart raced. What could be so important that it would overshadow her promotion? She replied, Do you know what it is? No. But whatever it is, it's big. Martin looked nervous. Sleep now completely impossible. Vanessa stared at the ceiling, anxiety churning in her stomach. After everything she'd sacrificed, after all the lines she'd crossed, something was threatening to steal her moment. In the bedroom down the hall, Russell sat awake at his desk, making final preparations for tomorrow. On his computer screen, emails from Harold Whitney confirmed that everything was in place. The company-wide announcement of Martin's retirement would happen at 9 a.m., followed by the introduction of the new owner at the 11 a.m. ceremony that was supposed to be Vanessa's moment of triumph. Russell closed his laptop and allowed himself a small, cold smile. 10 years of marriage, 8 months of betrayal, and tomorrow, it would all come to fruition. Chapter 4, Positions of Power. The morning of the ceremony dawned bright and clear. Russell was already gone when Vanessa woke up, a note on his pillow saying he'd meet her at Pinnacle for the ceremony. Her phone was flooded with messages, colleagues expressing both congratulations on her expected promotion and confusion about the mysterious company announcement. Dominic had texted again. Martin just told the executive team he's retiring. Effective immediately. New owner taking over today. Vanessa's stomach dropped. A change in leadership could jeopardize everything she'd worked for. New CEOs often brought in their own teams, reshuffled the executive structure. She called Dominic, who answered in a hushed voice. I can't talk long. Meeting's about to start. Who's the new owner? What does this mean for my promotion? No one knows who bought the company. Some silent investor who's been accumulating shares. As for your promotion, he paused. It's still on, but there are rumors of a restructuring coming. Dominic, I've worked too hard for this. You promised me. I promised you a promotion, not job security. Look, I've got to go. We'll talk at the ceremony. He hung up. Vanessa dressed methodically in her new burgundy dress, her mind racing. She needed allies, information. If the company was changing hands, she needed to position herself favorably with the new owner. She tried calling Russell, but it went straight to voicemail. Meeting you there, she said after the beep. There's some kind of shakeup happening at Pinnacle. The CEO is retiring. She hesitated, then added, I might need your support today. Russell sat in Martin Reeves' former office, reviewing the day's schedule with Harold Whitney and Pamela Strickland. All executives and department heads have been notified of Martin's retirement, Harold reported. Speculation is running wild about the new ownership. Perfect, Russell nodded. And the VP ceremony? Still scheduled for 11 a.m. in the main conference center, Pamela confirmed. Though people are more interested in meeting the new owner than celebrating the promotions. Excellent. Russell checked his watch. What about Dominic Foster? He's been calling everyone in his network trying to get information, Harold said. He's nervous. He should be. Russell stood and adjusted his custom Tom Ford suit. A far cry from the off-the-rack clothes Vanessa was accustomed to seeing him in. Is everything prepared for his termination? All evidence of his misconduct has been compiled. Pamela nodded. Legal has reviewed it and confirmed we have grounds for immediate dismissal without severance. Good. Hold that until after the ceremony. I want everyone to witness what happens to those who abuse their positions. Russell straightened his diamond cufflinks, another item his wife had never seen. It's almost time. Let's proceed. Vanessa arrived at Pinnacle Dynamics to find the building buzzing with speculation. Colleagues she normally barely acknowledged stopped her for information, assuming that as a soon-to-be VP, she must be in the loop. I know as much as you do, she told them smoothly, maintaining her composure despite her inner turmoil. She spotted Dominic across the lobby, huddled with other executives. He looked up, caught her eye, and gave a barely perceptible shake of his head. No new information. As she made her way to the conference center, Pamela Strickland intercepted her. Mrs. Mercer, congratulations on your promotion. Thank you, Pamela. Vanessa had always found the HR director coldly efficient and slightly intimidating. I wanted to let you know the seating arrangements have changed. You'll be at the main table, as befits your new position. Main table? With the executives? And the new owner? Pamela's smile didn't reach her eyes. It's quite an honor. Before Vanessa could press for more information, Pamela excused herself to attend to other matters. Vanessa checked her phone again. Still no word from Russell. She sent him another text. Where are you? Ceremony starting soon. Need you here. The conference center was filling up rapidly, executives and employees taking their seats, the air thick with anticipation. Dominic finally made his way to her side. Any news? She whispered. Nothing. He looked tense. But whoever it is, they've been planning this for a long time. Martin admitted he's been negotiating the sale for weeks. And you had no idea? I thought you knew everything that happened in this company. Dominic's jaw tightened. Apparently not. Look, let me do the talking when the new owner arrives. I've navigated regime changes before. Vanessa bristled. I'm perfectly capable of. Just follow my lead. He cut her off. This isn't the time for you to try proving yourself. Before she could respond, the lights dimmed slightly, and Martin Reeves took the stage. The room fell silent. Good morning, Pinnacle family, Martin began. As many of you have heard, today marks a significant transition for our company. After 30 years at the helm, I'm announcing my retirement. Murmurs rippled through the audience as Martin continued, expressing gratitude for his time at Pinnacle and confidence in its future. Which brings me to the most important announcement. Martin's voice strengthened. Pinnacle Dynamics has been acquired by Quantum Holdings, a private investment firm with the vision and resources to take this company to heights I've only dreamed of. Vanessa glanced at Dominic, who was frantically typing on his phone, presumably searching for information on Quantum Holdings. I'd like to introduce you to the founder and CEO of Quantum Holdings and the new owner of Pinnacle Dynamics. Martin gestured toward the side entrance of the stage. Vanessa's breath caught as a familiar figure walked confidently onto the stage. Russell Mercer, dressed in an impeccable suit she'd never seen, shook Martin's hand and approached the microphone. His posture, his walk, even his expression, all transformed from the modest husband she thought she knew. Thank you, Martin. Russell's voice carried effortlessly through the stunned room. His eyes found Vanessa in the audience, her face a mask of shock. Beside her, Dominic had gone pale. For those who don't know me, Russell continued, my name is Russell Mercer. I founded Quantum Edge Technologies 15 years ago and have since expanded my portfolio through Quantum Holdings. Today, I'm proud to add Pinnacle Dynamics to that family. Whispers erupted throughout the room. Vanessa felt the blood drain from her face as the implications sank in. Her husband, her supposedly modest, unambitious husband, owned her company, which meant, I believe in Pinnacle's potential, Russell was saying, but realizing that potential will require changes, starting with leadership that embodies integrity, loyalty, and true ambition, not the kind that climbs over others or uses personal relationships for advancement. His gaze swept the room, lingering momentarily on Dominic before returning to Vanessa. The message was unmistakable. Dominic leaned over, whispering urgently, "You never told me your husband was Russell fucking Mercer. Do you have any idea who he is?" Vanessa could only shake her head numbly, her world collapsing around her. The husband she'd dismissed as unambitious, the man she'd betrayed and lied to for months, now stood revealed as a business titan and her boss. Chapter 5. Calculated Moves. The ceremony proceeded in a surreal blur for Vanessa. Russell announced several organizational changes, confirming some promotions, including hers, while subtly indicating more changes would come. Throughout his speech, he never directly acknowledged their relationship, but the tension was palpable. Colleagues who'd known Vanessa was married to a Russell were making the connection, sideways glances and whispers following her everywhere. When the formal announcements concluded, Russell invited the executive team and newly promoted employees to a private luncheon. As people moved toward the adjoining dining room, Vanessa found herself frozen in place. Dominic gripped her arm. "We need to talk. Now." He pulled her into a nearby empty office, closing the door behind them. "What the fuck, Vanessa?" His face was contorted with panic. "Your husband is Russell Mercer? The tech billionaire?" "I had no idea," Vanessa said weakly. "He told me he was a consultant. We live in a normal house, drive normal cars. He never." "Do you understand what this means?" Dominic cut her off. "He owns the company. He's our boss. And if he knows about us." "He doesn't," Vanessa said quickly, though a knot of dread was forming in her stomach. Russell's words about leadership and loyalty suddenly seemed pointed, deliberate. "You better be sure about that." Dominic paced the small office. "Because if he knows, we're both finished." "Russell isn't like that," Vanessa said, trying to convince herself. "He's reasonable. Even if he suspected something, he wouldn't." "Vanessa," Dominic grabbed her shoulders. "Men like Russell Mercer don't get where they are by being reasonable when they're crossed. And they don't live modest lives unless they're hiding something or testing people." A knock at the door made them both jump. Pamela Strickland entered without waiting for an answer, her expression professionally neutral. "Mr. Mercer requested your presence at the luncheon, Mrs. Mercer," she said, emphasizing Vanessa's married name. "And Mr. Foster, the board members are asking for you as well." "We'll be right there," Dominic said, straightening his tie. Pamela's eyes cooled further. "Separately, I think would be best. Don't you?" The implication was clear. Vanessa felt sick as she followed Pamela to the dining room, Dominic trailing several paces behind. Russell watched his wife enter the room, noting her ashen face and the careful distance Dominic Foster maintained from her. Harold Whitney appeared at his side, speaking quietly. "Everything's in place. The board has the documentation on Foster's misconduct. They're prepared to support termination." "Good," Russell nodded. "And my wife's promotion? Still official, as you requested?" Harold looked uncertain. "Are you sure that's wise given?" "Oh, I'm counting on it," Russell smiled thinly. "Vanessa's always wanted power and recognition. Let's see how she handles it when it comes with a cost." Across the room, Vanessa was accepting congratulations with a fixed smile, her eyes repeatedly darting to Russell. He gave her a slight nod when their gazes met, then deliberately turned his attention to other executives. The luncheon proceeded with excruciating formality. Russell moved among the executives and board members with ease, displaying intimate knowledge of Pinnacle's operations that stunned those who'd only just met him. Finally, he approached Vanessa, who stood alone by the windows, her composure visibly cracking. "Congratulations on your promotion, VP Mercer," he said, his voice carrying just enough for nearby colleagues to hear. "Your dedication to Pinnacle has certainly been comprehensive." "Russell, we need to talk," Vanessa whispered urgently. I had no idea you." "Indeed, we do need to talk," he agreed pleasantly. "About many things. But now isn't the time. We have an audience." He glanced meaningfully around the room where curious eyes watched them. "Please, Russell," her voice dropped even lower. "What is this? What are you doing?" For a brief moment, the mask slipped, and Vanessa saw something cold and unforgiving in her husband's eyes. "What am I doing?" he repeated softly. "I'm showing you who I really am, Vanessa, just as you've shown me who you really are." Before she could respond, he turned to address the room, raising his voice. "If I could have everyone's attention, I have one more announcement before we conclude." The room quieted immediately. Russell gestured for Harold and Pamela to join him. Pinnacle Dynamics has always prided itself on integrity and ethical conduct, Russell began. Unfortunately, I've discovered that those standards haven't always been upheld by all members of the leadership team. Dominic Foster, who had been engaged in forced conversation with board members, went completely still. Mr. Foster, Russell turned to him directly. As of this moment, your employment with Pinnacle Dynamics is terminated. Gasps and murmurs erupted around the room. On what grounds? Dominic demanded, his face flushing dark red. Sexual harassment. Misuse of company resources. Violation of ethics policies, Russell listed calmly. Ms. Strickland has the full documentation, which has been reviewed by our legal team and the board. You'll be escorted to clean out your office immediately. Dominic looked wildly around the room, seeking allies, finding none. His gaze finally landed on Vanessa. This is because of her, isn't it? He said loudly, pointing at Vanessa. Your wife? Ask her where she was all those late nights when she claimed to be working. Ask her. Mr. Foster. Russell's voice cut through the room like a blade. I know exactly where my wife has been, and with whom. That's a personal matter between us. Your termination is based solely on your pattern of misconduct with multiple employees. Unless you'd prefer me to elaborate on those details publicly? Dominic's mouth snapped shut. 2 security guards appeared at the doorway. Please collect your belongings and leave the premises, Russell continued evenly. Any attempt to disparage this company or its employees will result in legal action. Good day. The room watched in shocked silence as Dominic was escorted out, his career and reputation in tatters within minutes. Russell turned back to the stunned audience. Pinnacle Dynamics is entering a new era, one where merit, integrity, and loyalty are rewarded. I look forward to working with each of you who shares that vision. His eyes found Vanessa's across the room, the message unmistakable. She was next. Chapter 6. The Revelation. Vanessa spent the remainder of the day in a state of suspended terror. After the luncheon, Russell disappeared into meetings with the board and executive team. She retreated to her office, door closed, ignoring the stream of colleagues who stopped by to congratulate her while fishing for information about her famous husband. Her phone vibrated with text after text from Dominic. Your husband set me up. This is about us, and you know it. Did you know who he was this whole time? Was this some sick game? He's going to destroy you too. You realize that, right? She ignored them all, her mind racing as she pieced together the implications. Russell had known about the affair. For how long? The security system in their home. Had he been monitoring her? And his financial empire. How had she never suspected? The pieces clicked into a horrifying place. His convenient business trips when she planned to meet Dominic, his sudden interest in her work events, the subtle questions about her colleagues. He'd been gathering information, setting a trap, and she'd walked right into it. At 6 p.m., her office phone rang. Russell's voice came through the speaker. My office. Now. Following Pamela Strickland's directions, Vanessa made her way to the executive floor she'd coveted for so long, now feeling like a condemned prisoner walking to execution. Russell's new office, formerly Martin Reeves, was a corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He sat behind a massive desk, reviewing documents, not looking up when she entered. Close the door, he said without preamble. Vanessa complied, then stood awkwardly by the entrance, suddenly unsure how to address this stranger who was her husband. How long have you known? She finally asked. Russell set down his pen and looked up. About the affair? 8 months, 3 days. Since it began. The precision of his answer sent a chill through her. And all of this, buying the company, the ceremony today, it was all to humiliate me? Not everything is about you, Vanessa. Russell's voice held no emotion. Pinnacle Dynamics is a sound investment with growth potential. The timing was convenient. Russell, please. Vanessa took a step forward. I know I made a terrible mistake. I can explain. Stay in the back. You're embarrassing. Russell cut her off, his voice suddenly loud, startling her. My wife hissed at her award ceremony. Vanessa froze, the memory hitting her like a physical blow. 6 months ago, at the industry awards dinner, Russell had tried to accompany her to the front when her team won recognition, and she'd shoved him back, hissing those exact words. But when her CEO walked in, she froze. Russell continued, standing now, his voice hard. Ladies and gentlemen, Meet your new company owner, he said, pointing at me. The room went silent. He circled the desk slowly. That moment, that exact moment today when you realized who I really was. When you understood that the husband you'd been cheating on, lying to, dismissing as unambitious and embarrassing was actually the man you'd been desperately trying to impress. That was worth every penny I paid for this company. Vanessa felt tears threatening. Russell, I'm sorry. I didn't know. That I was rich, he finished. And that makes a difference how? If I'd been the simple consultant you thought I was, would that have made your betrayal acceptable? No, of course not, she stammered. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Vanessa? That you wouldn't have cheated if you'd known I was wealthy? That your vows only applied until someone more powerful came along? His calm was more terrifying than anger would have been. Vanessa struggled to find words that might reach him. Russell, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. There's nothing to fix, he said simply. Our marriage is over. It has been since you decided to sleep with Dominic Foster. Today was merely the formal announcement. What are you saying? Panic rose in Vanessa's throat. Are you firing me too? Russell smiled coldly. Fire you? No. You've earned your promotion, Vanessa. Through hard work and talent, whatever else Dominic might have implied. Relief washed through her, quickly followed by suspicion. Then what happens now? Now, you get exactly what you wanted. Russell returned to his desk. Power, prestige, responsibility. Starting tomorrow, you'll report directly to the executive committee, which I chair. And us? Our marriage. Divorce papers will be delivered to your office tomorrow. The prenuptial agreement you sign will be enforced. You keep your personal assets, I keep mine. He looked up, his eyes hard. I've arranged for you to stay at the Four Seasons until you find a new place. Your access to our home has been revoked. Russell, please, Vanessa begged, desperation finally cracking her composure. 10 years together, doesn't that mean anything? It meant everything to me, he replied quietly, until I discovered it meant nothing to you. That's not true. I made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary or saying something hurtful in anger. Russell cut her off. What you did was a choice, made repeatedly, for months, while looking me in the eye and lying every day. He pressed the intercom on his desk. Miss Strickland, please escort Mrs. Mercer out and ensure security has updated her access credentials, as discussed. Pamela appeared almost instantly, as if she'd been waiting outside. This way, Mrs. Mercer, she said with professional detachment. Russell, please don't do this. Vanessa pleaded, tears now flowing freely. It's already done, Russell said without looking up from his desk. Goodbye, Vanessa. As Pamela led her out, Vanessa glanced back to see Russell already on the phone, moving forward with business, as if she'd never been there at all. Chapter 7, Aftermath. She's been in her office for 3 hours with the blinds closed, Harold reported to Russell a week after the ceremony. The divorce papers were delivered this morning. Russell nodded, reviewing quarterly projections on his tablet. And her work? Impeccable, Harold admitted. Whatever else you can say about Vanessa, she's good at her job. She's already restructured the operations team and identified 3 inefficiencies we missed in the audit. Not surprising, Russell said. I didn't marry her for her looks. Nolan, who had been appointed to Pinnacle's board, leaned forward. You're really going to keep her on? After everything. I'm separating personal feelings from business decisions, Russell replied. Unlike some people. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Mercer, Dominic Foster is in the lobby, demanding to see you, his assistant announced. Security is standing by. Russell exchanged glances with Nolan. Send him up. With security escorts. Minutes later, a disheveled Dominic Foster was shown into Russell's office, a security guard positioned at each side. You've ruined me, Dominic spat, foregoing any pretense of civility. No company will touch me with the termination record you created. Russell studied him calmly. Your choices ruined you, Mr. Foster. I merely documented them. This is personal revenge for Vanessa, and we both know it, Dominic sneered. Did it make you feel powerful, destroying my career, because your wife preferred me in her bed? The security guards tensed, but Russell waved them to stand down. Mr. Foster, if this were personal revenge, you'd be in much worse condition than merely unemployed. Russell's voice was conversational. The 3 other women you coerced into sexual relationships while promising them promotions might disagree with your characterization of events. Dominic blanched. That's a lie. Pamela has signed statements from all three, Russell continued, which I've chosen not to make public out of respect for their privacy. A courtesy I can revoke at any time. What do you want from me? Dominic's bluster deflated. Nothing. You're irrelevant to my plans, Russell said simply. Though I suggest you accept the position with our subsidiary in Anchorage that HR offered yesterday. It's the only job offer you're likely to receive in this industry. Alaska? You expect me to move to Alaska? I expect nothing from you, Russell replied. I'm merely providing an opportunity for you to avoid bankruptcy and maintain some semblance of a career. Whether you take it is your choice. As I said, it's business, not personal. You ruthless bastard, Dominic whispered. Russell smiled thinly. Thank you for the compliment. Now, unless you have actual business to discuss, my security team will show you out. After Dominic was escorted from the building, Nolan shook his head admiringly. Alaska? That's cold, Russ. Literally and figuratively. He's lucky that's all it is, Russell said, returning to his work. Now, about the quarterly projections. Vanessa stared at the divorce papers on her desk, the familiar signature of her husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, stark against the white page. The terms were exactly as Russell had stated. She kept her personal assets and earnings, he kept his vast fortune. There was no alimony, no shared property, a clean and surgical separation. In the week since the ceremony, she'd barely seen Russell. He communicated with her only through official channels, in meetings where others were present, treating her with the same professional courtesy he showed all executives. The humiliation was complete. Colleagues who once envied her now watched her with a mixture of pity and schadenfreude. The whispers followed her everywhere. How she'd cheated on a billionaire. How she'd failed to recognize who her own husband really was. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Pamela Strickland entered without waiting for a response. The executive committee meeting starts in 10 minutes, Pamela informed her. Mr. Mercer requested your quarterly operations plan. I'll bring it, Vanessa said tersely. She'd grown to despise Pamela's cool efficiency and obvious loyalty to Russell. Also, Pamela added, the Four Seasons called. Your extended stay ends tomorrow. They wanted to know if you'll be rebooking. The reminder that she was essentially homeless twisted the knife further. Vanessa had been so focused on damage control at work that she'd barely begun apartment hunting. Thank you for the reminder, she said stiffly. Pamela lingered in the doorway. If I may offer some unsolicited advice, Mrs. Mercer. Ms. Paulson, Vanessa corrected. She'd already begun using her maiden name again. Of course, Pamela nodded. Ms. Paulson, then. Whatever personal issues exist between you and Mr. Mercer, don't let them affect your performance. He's watching closely. For reasons to fire me? For reasons to respect you, Pamela replied. Despite everything, he values competence above all else. That's your only path forward. With that cryptic advice, Pamela left. Vanessa gathered her materials for the meeting, a plan forming in her mind. If Russell respected competence, she would show him just how competent she could be. She'd rebuild her reputation, prove her value to the company, and force him to see her as more than just his unfaithful wife. It was her only chance to salvage anything from the wreckage of her life. Across town, Dominic Foster sat in his luxury apartment, a half-empty bottle of scotch on the table before him, scrolling through job listings on his laptop. Every inquiry he'd made had been met with the same response. We'll keep your resume on file. Russell Mercer had blacklisted him without saying a word. The industry was small, and word traveled fast. His phone rang, his soon-to-be ex-wife's attorney, calling about the divorce she'd filed immediately after his termination. Between legal fees, potential alimony, and no income, financial ruin loomed. The Alaska offer sat in his email inbox, taunting him. A mid-level management position at a Pinnacle subsidiary, with a salary less than half what he was used to, in a frozen wasteland thousands of miles from civilization. His only other option was leaving the industry entirely, starting over at 45. Dominic poured another drink, hatred for Russell Mercer burning in his gut. There had to be a way to fight back, to make Mercer pay for destroying everything he'd built. An idea began to form. Desperate, risky, but potentially devastating if executed correctly. Vanessa. She had insider access now, and as much reason to hate Russell as he did. He picked up his phone and composed a text. We need to talk. Not about us, about taking him down. Meet me tomorrow, 8 p.m., Rivera Hotel Bar. Come alone. Chapter 8, Counter-Moves. Vanessa stared at Dominic's text for a full minute before deleting it. Whatever scheme he was hatching, she wanted no part of it. She was rebuilding her life piece by piece, focusing on the one thing she had left, her career. To her surprise, Russell had been true to his word. He hadn't undermined her at work or used his position to make her life difficult. In the 3 weeks since the ceremony, she'd been included in every strategic meeting, her input solicited and considered with the same attention given to other executives. It was a strange purgatory, professional respect coupled with personal rejection. Russell had not spoken to her directly about anything non-work related since their confrontation in his office. At the Rivera Hotel Bar, Dominic Foster waited alone, checking his watch repeatedly as 8 p.m. came and went. By 9, he downed 4 scotches and accepted that Vanessa wasn't coming. His phone buzzed with a text, but it wasn't from her. The Anchorage position has been filled. Your employment prospects with Pinnacle Dynamics and all subsidiaries are now closed. HR Department. Dominic hurled his glass against the wall, drawing startled looks from other patrons. Security quickly escorted him out, adding another humiliation to his growing collection. Stumbling back to his apartment, a new, darker plan began taking shape in his mind. If he couldn't hurt Russell Mercer professionally, perhaps there were other ways to make him pay. Sir, we have a situation. Harold Whitney's voice was tense over the phone. Dominic Foster just entered the building, bypassed security somehow, and he's headed toward the executive floor. Security cameras show he's carrying something under his jacket. Russell's mind calculated rapidly. Alert security, full lockdown protocol. Where's Vanessa? In the conference room on 28, presentation to the operations team. Send security there first, Russell ordered, already moving toward his private elevator. I'm on my way down. As Russell descended, building alarms began blaring. His phone buzzed with an emergency alert from the security system. Armed intruder, executive floor. The elevator doors opened to chaos. Employees rushing toward emergency exits. Security personnel running in the opposite direction. Russell moved purposefully through the crowd, toward the conference room where Vanessa was scheduled to be. He rounded the corner just as Dominic Foster burst through the conference room doors, wild-eyed and disheveled. Through the glass walls, Russell could see Vanessa and her team frozen in shock. Drawing a concealed handgun from his ankle holster, a precaution he'd carried since receiving threats during Quantum's early days, Russell approached carefully, staying out of Dominic's line of sight. Inside the conference room, Dominic was shouting incoherently, gesturing with what appeared to be a gun partially concealed in his jacket pocket. "This is all because of you," he screamed at Vanessa. "You and your husband ruined everything." Russell signaled to the security team approaching from the other direction to hold their positions. He needed to get closer, wait for the right moment when Dominic was distracted. "Dominic, please." Vanessa's voice was surprisingly steady. "Put down the gun. This won't solve anything." "Won't it?" Dominic laughed bitterly. "Your husband took everything from me. My job, my reputation, my future. Let's see how he likes losing something that matters to him." "I don't matter to him," Vanessa said quietly. "We're getting divorced, remember? Hurting me won't hurt him." Dominic hesitated, confusion crossing his face. "Then I'll find him after I'm done with you." "Where is he?" "Right here." Russell spoke clearly, stepping into the doorway, gun aimed steadily at Dominic. "Let them go, Foster. This is between you and me." Dominic spun around, startled. "You think you can just appear and give orders like you own the world? Not this time." He reached into his jacket, but Russell was faster. A single shot echoed through the conference room, striking Dominic's shoulder. He crumpled to the floor, screaming in pain as security rushed in to secure him and the weapon that had fallen from his jacket. Russell quickly assessed the room. "Is everyone all right?" Shaken employees nodded, too stunned to speak. Vanessa stood frozen, staring at Russell as if seeing him for the first time. "Mr. Whitney, ensure Mr. Foster receives medical attention before police take him into custody," Russell instructed calmly. "Ms. Strickland, please coordinate with HR to arrange counseling for anyone who needs it after this incident." As security led a handcuffed and bleeding Dominic away, Russell's eyes finally met Vanessa's across the room. "Thank you," she said simply. Russell nodded once, then turned to leave. "Take the rest of the day off, everyone. We'll reschedule the presentation." The incident was front-page news the next day. Tech billionaire Russell Mercer stops armed attacker at Pinnacle Dynamics. The story painted Russell as a hero who had risked his life to protect his employees, including his estranged wife. The narrative omitted the personal entanglements, describing Dominic Foster only as a recently terminated executive with apparent grievances against the company. Vanessa arrived at the office to find a handwritten note on her desk. Your handling of the situation yesterday was admirable. RM. The first personal communication from Russell in weeks. She wasn't sure if it was progress or simply professional courtesy, but it felt significant nonetheless. Later that day, Russell called an emergency board meeting to discuss security protocols and the company's response to the incident. To Vanessa's surprise, he invited her to attend, despite her not being a board member. As executives filed into the boardroom, Russell pulled her aside briefly. I want to be clear, he said quietly. I didn't come to that conference room for you specifically. I would have done the same for any employee under threat. Vanessa met his gaze steadily. I understand, but thank you anyway. Something flickered in his eyes. Not forgiveness, but perhaps a fractional softening of his absolute contempt. The divorce proceedings continue as planned, he added. This changes nothing between us personally. I know, Vanessa nodded. I've signed the papers. They're with my attorney. Russell nodded once, then moved to take his place at the head of the boardroom table, the brief moment of connection already fading. But as Vanessa took her seat among the executives, she realized something had indeed changed. For the first time since the ceremony, people were looking at her with something other than pity or suspicion. She had stood her ground against an armed attacker, shown courage under pressure. It wasn't redemption, but it was a start. And Russell's note, acknowledgement of her competence, if nothing else, felt like the first solid ground she'd found in the quicksand of the past month. Chapter 9, Final Judgments. 6 months after the ceremony that had changed everything, Pinnacle Dynamics celebrated its most profitable quarter in company history. Under Russell's leadership, the company had expanded into new markets, streamlined operations, and attracted top talent from competitors. In that same period, Vanessa had transformed the operations department, implementing systems that increased efficiency by 30% and reduced costs significantly. Her team, initially skeptical of working under the CEO's soon-to-be ex-wife, had grown to respect her technical knowledge and management style. The divorce had been finalized 3 months earlier, with minimal media attention. Russell's PR team had managed the narrative masterfully, presenting it as an amicable separation with both parties continuing their professional relationship at Pinnacle. Dominic Foster had been sentenced to 7 years for attempted assault with a deadly weapon, his fall from grace complete and irreversible. On the surface, everything had stabilized. But beneath that calm exterior, Vanessa still felt adrift. Her apartment, though expensive and well-located, never felt like home. Her professional success, once her driving ambition, now seemed hollow without someone to share it with. She had dated casually, successful men eager to be seen with the accomplished ex-wife of Russell Mercer, but none had sparked any genuine interest. In quiet moments, she found herself thinking of Russell, wondering if in different circumstances, with different choices, they might have built something real together. For his part, Russell had maintained a strict professional boundary. In executive meetings, he treated her with the same impartial attention he gave other department heads. They occasionally attended the same corporate events, exchanging minimal pleasantries before moving to opposite sides of the room. It was at one such event, a charity gala where Pinnacle was a major donor, that Vanessa finally saw an opportunity to speak with Russell away from the office. He stood alone on the terrace, nursing a scotch, when she approached. The Northwestern contract came through, she said, giving herself a professional pretext. Ahead of schedule. I saw the report, Russell nodded. Good work. Silence stretched between them, heavier than usual. Russell, Vanessa finally ventured. It's been 6 months. Can we at least talk? Like actual people, not just colleagues. Something in his expression shifted slightly. What would be the point? Closure, maybe, she suggested. Or just, I don't know, acknowledgement that 10 years of marriage existed before it ended. Russell studied her for a long moment. What do you want me to acknowledge, Vanessa? That we had good times before you betrayed me? That there were moments of genuine connection before you decided I wasn't enough? That's not fair, she said quietly. What I did was wrong, But our marriage had problems before Dominic. You were distant, secretive. You hid your entire life from me. I was selective about what I shared, Russell corrected. Because I wanted someone who valued me for myself, not my net worth. A distinction that proved relevant, wouldn't you say? Vanessa looked away. I deserve that. But whatever you might think, I didn't marry you for money I didn't know you had. I married you because I thought we were building something together, and then decided to destroy it for a promotion. His voice remained even, but the words cut. It wasn't just about the promotion, Vanessa admitted. It was about feeling seen, valued. Dominic made me feel powerful in ways you never did. Because I didn't shower you with empty flattery while manipulating you? Russell asked. That seems a damning indictment of what you value. Vanessa had no answer for that. They stood in silence, watching other guests through the terrace doors, existing in parallel worlds that no longer intersected. I have a question, Russell said finally. If you could go back, knowing everything you know now, about me, about Dominic, about yourself, would you still do it? Would you still betray our marriage? Vanessa considered carefully. No, she said finally. Not because you turned out to be wealthy or powerful, but because I've learned that integrity matters more than advancement. That trust, once broken, can never be fully restored. That actions have consequences beyond what we can imagine when we make them. Russell nodded almost imperceptibly. Then you've learned something valuable, at least. Have you, she asked. Learned anything from all this? I've learned to trust my instincts, he said after a moment. I suspected from the beginning that your ambition would eventually outweigh your loyalty. I should have acted on that intuition instead of hoping I was wrong. That's a bleak lesson, Vanessa said softly. It's a realistic one. Russell finished his scotch. I should get back inside. Russell. Vanessa stopped him with a hand on his arm. The first time they'd touched in months. For whatever it's worth, I am sorry. Not just for getting caught. Not just for the consequences. But for hurting you. For breaking something that might have been real, if I'd given it the chance. Russell looked down at her hand, then back to her face. For a moment, something raw and honest passed between them. A glimpse of the pain beneath his controlled exterior. I believe you're sorry, Vanessa, he said finally. But some things can't be fixed with apologies. He gently removed her hand from his arm and walked back into the gala, leaving her alone on the terrace with regrets that had nowhere to go. 2 weeks later, Vanessa was summoned to Russell's office. She found him reviewing documents with Harold Whitney and Nolan Parker, whom she now knew was Russell's oldest friend and closest advisor. You wanted to see me? She asked, remaining by the door. Yes, come in. Russell gestured to a chair. Harold, Nolan, give us a moment, please. The men nodded and left, closing the door behind them. I'll get right to the point, Russell said once they were alone. Quantum Holdings is expanding its international operations. We're opening a European headquarters in Zurich, and we need someone to head operations there. Vanessa's pulse quickened. And you're considering me for the position? I'm offering you the position, Russell corrected. Executive Vice President of European Operations, reporting directly to the board. It comes with a significant salary increase, equity options, and complete autonomy over hiring your team. Vanessa studied him, trying to understand the motivation behind the offer. Why me? Because you're the best person for the job, Russell replied simply. Your work these past 6 months has been exceptional. You've earned this opportunity on merit. And it has nothing to do with wanting me on another continent. A faint smile touched Russell's lips. That's an ancillary benefit, I won't deny it. But the primary consideration is business. The job needs doing, and you're qualified to do it. Vanessa considered the offer. Zurich, a fresh start, away from the gossip and sideways glances, with a prestigious position that would be hers based on ability rather than connection. When would I start? 3 weeks, Russell said. Enough time to transition your current responsibilities and relocate. And if I decline? Then you continue in your current role, Russell shrugged. This isn't an ultimatum, Vanessa. It's an opportunity. Take it or leave it based on what you want for your future. Vanessa took a deep breath. I'll take it. Russell nodded, unsurprised. Gina will send over the contract this afternoon. Pamela will assist with relocation logistics. He returned to his paperwork, a clear dismissal. Vanessa stood to leave, then paused at the door. Was any of it real, Russell? Us. He looked up, his expression unreadable. Parts of it were. Just not enough of them, apparently. Vanessa nodded, accepting the answer as the most she would ever get. Goodbye, Russell. Goodbye, Vanessa, he replied, already returning to his work. Good luck in Zurich. 3 months later, Russell stood at the window of his penthouse, watching the city lights below. Nolan lounged in a nearby chair, both men nursing glasses of 30-year-old scotch. Heard from Pamela that Vanessa's killing it in Zurich, Nolan commented. The European operations are already 20% above projections. Not surprising, Russell replied. Whatever her personal failings, she's always been exceptional professionally. Any regrets? Nolan asked, studying his friend. About how things ended? Russell considered the question. Regrets about exposing her betrayal? None. Regrets about the 10 years invested in someone who ultimately proved unworthy of trust? Of course. And the company purchase? The whole revenge operation? Was it worth it? Pinnacle stock is up 45% since acquisition, Russell noted. So financially, absolutely. That's not what I'm asking, and you know it. Russell turned from the window. Does seeing her face when she realized who I really was still bring me satisfaction? Yes. Do I sleep better knowing Dominic Foster's career and reputation are destroyed? Yes. But revenge doesn't restore what was broken, Russell admitted. It doesn't rebuild trust or faith in people. It's justice, not healing. Nolan nodded thoughtfully. So what next? You've got the company, the billions, the vindication. What does Russell Mercer do now? Russell smiled, a genuine smile that rarely appeared these days. Now, I focus on building something that can't be betrayed. Something bigger than personal relationships or individual ambitions. The foundation? Among other things, Russell confirmed. I've spent too long reacting to betrayal. It's time to create something that will outlast all of that. And Vanessa? If she continues to excel in Zurich, then she continues to benefit the company, and the company benefits her, Russell shrugged. Business is business. But personally, that chapter is closed permanently. Good. Nolan raised his glass. To close chapters and new beginnings. Russell clinked his glass against his friend's. And to lessons learned, however painful the education. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm, indifferent to the human dramas that played out within its buildings. Russell Mercer had lost a wife, but gained clarity. He had discovered the true measure of his capacity for calculation, for patience, for ruthlessness when betrayed. Some might call it cold. He called it survival. And having survived, he would now thrive, building a legacy that couldn't be undermined by misplaced trust or betrayal. The lesson had been costly, but the education, complete. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.